Hey guys, what is up? Lord Nick here, bringing you another League of Legends related video, and this video is for the Clutch gaming fans. This is going to be a quick rundown. I say quick, it's probably still going to be 10 to 15 minutes long, of what's going on with Clutch gaming, guys. Like, me, a fan, can know that these guys are not doing great, and everybody knows this. It's just no industry secret or anything. These guys are just not performing, and we're going to be kind of going on to figure out why are these guys not performing. And I'm doing this in a constructive criticism way. I'm also trying to amp up the fan base to know about these players' past in history and kind of get you guys amped up to see these guys potentially do well in the summer split. Because as much as I want to say they're going to make playoffs right now, it is not looking likely, and that's the biggest reason is that they just have a really rough last 4 games, and they just lost their one of those last 4, and they have 3 more really tough ones to come. That being said, let's kind of dive into this and kind of tell you guys where these guys have been struggling and what they could probably do to fix this. So let's go with it. Starting off with top lane, we're going with Huni. If you don't know who Huni is, well, the first thing I gotta ask you is how. Secondly, I'm going to talk to you guys about who Huni is. So Huni is a very notable top lane character, as he has been one of the most popular top lanes in the world for the past couple of years. He emerged on the scene back in Europe, and he was the fans took to him extremely well, and immediately so. And the biggest reason is that Huni liked to talk crap, but in a very fun-natured way. He was always smiling, always happy, and he's always brought a very big joy of light to everybody. He's also been exceptional in the top lane in many different formats of the game. You see, he started off in Fnatic, he then moved to IMT, and did well on both of these teams, making it to Worlds with both of them. Now, he didn't win with either of them, but he made a run. And that was impressive enough, and he captured our hearts, and he captured the attention of SKT, and eventually moved over to that team. That team then made it to 2nd place at Worlds. It was really sad to watch them not win, but all in all, it was also kind of something that was somewhat expected. The team did have its faults that year. As strong as they were, they definitely showcased some issues, and the biggest one was that they forced Huni to play a different style. But it did showcase one big thing for Huni, is that he can then expand his champion pool to basically anything. But you could tell he wasn't having as much fun with it. As much as he learned a lot, he got better as a player. It did definitely show that he looked like he just didn't have as much fun with the game, because he didn't get to play everything he ever wanted to play. He then came back to North America, joined the team Echo Fox, and did not do very well with them. Not that he himself played all that exceptionally bad, but he definitely was not a highlight for the team. He's now since moved to Clutch Gaming, and in this split it is much of the same. Huni unfortunately is not showcasing that same raw, natural ability that he had before. That being said, he is showcasing that he still has that within him. He's playing when he is playing well, he is playing really well. But the problems that we've been seeing is that he's showing a very over-aggressive nature, which is something that more stylistic to older Huni. The problem being there is that the meta doesn't really fit to that, and he is just making bad decision-making. It's not necessarily that he is just bad at playing, he's just overcommitting to things. When he is by himself, he's constantly trying to force people under their tower and force a fight under that tower. If he wants to force these fights, he should try to force them beforehand and then do calculated dives. It is much harder nowadays to force the fight towards the tower, dive, and still get out, and he has not been effective at doing so. So I think the biggest thing that Huni needs to do is then just focus on team fights. You know, he's raw potential in the laning phase has been shown. He has done that in the past, and he has shown that he can be a rock for a team like SKT, where he just doesn't play like crap, and he just farms up, goes into team fights, and has his team win the game with him. I think Huni needs to kind of go back to this playstyle right now, as it kind of just suits the meta a little bit better, and it suits him to be able to rely on his teammates to allow him to carry. He's not relying on them to carry him, he's relying on them to allow him to carry them. If that makes sense to you guys, he needs the support of his team so that he can then dominate the game. And otherwise, I think Huni is still a very bright spot for this team and shows a whole lot of potential to make this team so much better than it currently is. Next up, we're moving to Lyra. Lyra is a renowned jungler, as he started off over in Korea. He then moved over to North America. The exact teams in Korea, I don't exactly remember, but he did move over here to join Team Dragon Knights. Team Dragon Knights was a team that, well, did okay. They were not bad. They were just never great. And he did showcase there that him, Seraph, and Ninja could play together and do relatively well together as a team. Then Ninja and Seraph decided, we really don't know what, we don't really want to play at that same caliber, but Seraph stayed pretty consistently just sub-tier, while Ninja decided to just stopped playing it in general. He just became a much worse player, and that made the team look bad. But Lyra still posed the numbers as one of the best junglers in the game. This is all due to the fact that he played in a style that was very difficult to counter back in those days. You see, he played with a high amount of wards and constantly looked for vision on the enemy jungler. He would track them extremely well. He would then use his aggressive laners to force pressure on the enemy teams, forcing the enemy jungler to either have to force out and go, fight while he power farmed and stole their jungle, or as the enemy team couldn't back him up their jungler, he would invade, kill them, steal their jungle, go back and power farm his own jungle. Now, in the past, it was much easier for him to fast clear his jungle, and he was touted as one of the fastest clearing junglers in the world. They've now since slowed that down a lot in the current patches to jungle over the past couple of years, and he just seems to have never moved out of that meta of trying to fast clear and gank, fast clear and gank. And currently, when you see Lyra at his top, it's because he's ganking early, getting tons of success, and he plays more confidently and then constantly puts more pressure on the map. This split, though, most of what we see from Lyra is that he will still do those very aggressive early ganks right now, but then he doesn't want to take as many risks, as the risks are not nearly as calculated as they once were, because he doesn't have the vision to track as easily. That being said, a lot of the plays that he could make aren't nearly as safe, and that seems to scare him and forces him to not play as well. That being said, I don't think Lyra is bad. Far from it. I think he's still a very good player and has a ton of potential. Thing is, though, I think he needs a Cloud9 treatment. He needs to be put onto the quote-unquote bench and moved down to Academy. The Academy team hasn't been doing too terribly great, and he should obviously know this. And if he's moved there, and say they drop Major Danger on the Academy team, and they grab a better jungler and replace Lyra with this jungler who's doing well, say maybe Meteos or Dardoch or somebody, maybe a no-name who's just shown a ton of potential in solo queue, and you put Lyra on the bench, well, how's Lyra going to react? If he really wants to be there, he's going to work his ass off to make sure that in the Academy, he's showing that he still has the potential to become this top-notch jungler, in which they can then move him back, and he's back into form, and the team does much better. Or we have time to invest into a new jungler that could potentially bring better turnabouts for the team. All in all, I think the best case move for Lyra is moving him away from the LCS for a little while, at least to just allow him to clear his head, if nothing else. But that being said, that is enough on Lyra. Let's move over to Damonte. Damonte is a relatively new mid laner to the scene. He started off over on Echo Fox last year. He showcased some decent potential on the team, but the team itself never progressed farther than just being an okay team. They were much more of a middle of the pack, maybe higher low-end team, and he moved over here in that big roster swap that happened between Clutch and Echo Fox. So what is there to talk about Damonte this split? Well, Damonte has been a inconsistent beacon of hope. You see, whenever he shines, this man is brilliant. He is an extremely exceptional mid lane who shows a ton of potential of being one of the best American talented mid lanes in the game. I feel like he is probably a better mid laner than Pobelter, who's been touted the best American mid laner, and he has that potential to grow into that person that's going to dethrone Pobelter for sure. Now, where has he been struggling? The man obviously has some tilting problems, as there's been many a time where he seems to be doing well, and then all of a sudden he gives up 3 or 4 kills, which is a definite sign that he is struggling to mentally keep hold and stay calm and focus on the game, as he just feels like games are over. And I can see the problems here. His team has all had problems individually, and as a unit have had issues. So if that's the case, it's really difficult for this one guy to consistently try to put people on his back and climb. You can't 1v9 this season. You can't 1v9 last season. They've changed the game so much that it is so team-oriented that this 1v9 mentality just wouldn't work. And unfortunately, he's not doing it in a way of like thinking of a 1v9 potential because he's just so much better than everybody else. It's just he's feeling a lot of stress and pressure, and this can get to anybody, and I don't blame him for having these struggles. Now, if we can get away and focus on improving everybody, including himself, in the few cases that he doesn't farm as well sometimes, or he doesn't roam as much, and he sometimes struggles to get the warding situations done and being able to track the jungle himself, if we look away from these are all things that he can build upon. He's still a relatively new player, and he can easily start excelling at these focuses. What we really need to do is get to the team organization aspect of it, and I think improving on the team itself as a core and improving on it will allow him to improve individually. Now we're going to and once that happens, of course, he's just going to do much better, and the team as a whole, I think, is going to do much better. Now we're going to move over to Piglet. Boy, what is there to talk about Piglet? There's a lot, guys, and stay with me here because this is going to be a big rant about why I just personally dislike Piglet. Piglet, as you may or may not know, is a world champion ADC player. He used to be on the SKT lineup that had went to Worlds. He played with them for one more split, then got kicked off the team and replaced with Bang, who had since been a much better ADC by many, many calibers. As you see, Piglet then came to North America and has since found absolutely no success here. People want to say limited success, but I ask you, point out the limited success. This guy has never really even made it into playoffs. Very rarely has he ever done that, and he's never been touted as anything better than maybe the 6th best ADC in the league. That's really, really bad, and I feel like this guy is kind of past his prime. Now, I'm trying to stay positive in ways that I'm looking at it, but I had to kind of get that negativity out of my head, because I feel like the fact that they promised Piglet that they were going to move him up to here, because this was a plan they obviously had last year when they picked up Piglet for the academy team, is that we're going to work with him, we're going to find a good support that he works well with in academy, and then we're going to move the two of them up, and we're going to move Apollo and Hakuo, who are just kind of these guys that play not to lose, out of the team potentially, and it kind of feels like that was the strategy that they were going for. And so they move in Vulcan and Piglet, and Piglet has been underwhelming in all of his performances. Now, I'm not saying that he's been bad. No, in many cases he's shown that he can hold his own against them, but he's not showing that he's going to win against them, and that's just a big problem. Why would you get rid of Apollo, who has at times shown that he can beat other ADCs, for a guy that has not shown that he can do that, but rather he does what Apollo did, just, hold off and stay from dying for a while, and then I don't know. There's so many negatives that I could point out about Piglet, but let's look at the positives to this guy. This guy has shown that he has a very diverse champion pool. He's played so many different champions, and he's only seen real success on Irelia, but that does tell you that he has potential here to expand into many different options, and I feel like he needs a treatment similar to Lyra. Not that this guy isn't LCS caliber, because even though I don't feel like he is, he still has that chance that he could prove me wrong completely. This guy still has so much potential behind him, and he's definitely made it to Worlds for a reason. You could say it was on the back of all the amazing players that were on that team, but he still showcased a lot back then, and I want him to get back to that form. And the way that he does that is he still has to feel that pressure that he is not wanted. This is not saying that he isn't wanted. He could definitely find places on this team or on even another team, but he has to showcase that he can do it. Outside of his Aurelia performances, nothing has really showcased that happening. So I say put him back on the academy for a little bit longer. Toss in Cody's son, who's been sitting on the academy. This guy has proven that he is a very good ADC, who's had some attitude issues in the past, but he's been benched for a while now. Toss him in there. Give him a shot at the limelight. If Cody's son does well, keep Cody's son. If he doesn't, force the two of them to be fighting for this role and make both of them really, really strive and want it. You put that much pressure on inner pressure on them like that, I think these two players will possibly just break out, and one of them will start doing exceptionally well, because both of them have that potential. It's just neither of them are going for it. They both just seem kind of complacent, playing in a kind of play style, and you really got to get past that. That being said, Piglet has so much to give to this team, but can we unlock it? That's the question, and that's the question that North America has been asking for a while and have unsuccessfully answered. Lastly, we have Vulcan. Vulcan is a new player to the scene, guys. He started in the last year, started working with Piglet in the Academy Leagues, but other than that, he's never actually been seen on stage prior to this team. Now, Vulcan had been talked about as a solo queue monster that nobody wanted to deal with, and had arguably been considered one of the best supports in NA. And right now, I had a talk today just about how a lot of people thought that he was the number 4 support in NA. In the top 4, arguably the top 3, but, of course, you have Zazel, Smoothie, and you have Core JJ, who are all proving to be better supports this split. Vulcan, though, has still proved to put up some really impressive decision-making on his part. Now, by decision-making, I mean that he is extremely decisive. Once he makes a decision, he goes into it and he commits to it. He doesn't back out, which just means that he is very good. If the right call is made, this guy is going to be your rock. This guy is going to make sure that that play goes to the best possible potential it is going to have. Problem is the actual decision itself is where he kind of lacks a little bit. Every now and then he kind of goes over committed to something, but he commits, and that's a big thing. And he also just shows he can turn shitty situations into relatively okay ones. The team has played okay around him, and he's played okay around the team, and some other big wins have been the fact that he's willing to sacrifice himself to make sure the team wins the fight. That is an excellent player. Overall, this guy has a ton of potential. He's just very new, and so of course he struggles from a lot of the things that a lot of new players struggle from. Confidence, tilting, and the ability to just consistently play the same. That being said, he has shown one of the most consistent performances across this team, and guys, we should be really happy that he is here, as I think he's a guy that we can really rely on in the future. But he does still need to improve overall on just how he's going to do in the LCS. He still has the potential to be a great LCS player. He just needs more time to develop it, and I think that's his biggest weakness, is just he doesn't have experience yet, but that's easily fixed by just giving him playtime. Alright guys, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this video has been somewhat insightful for you guys, and hopefully maybe it's going to alleviate some of that pain that you might feel, the fact that Clutch is not performing well. And please guys, don't flame these guys. Apparently somebody told me earlier that in DeMonte's personal Discord that he made a post about people going to be shit-talking him when they know absolutely nothing. And guess what guys, we don't know anything. We can't shit-talk any of these players. As much as I might have some dislike towards these players, it's based off of their performance alone. It's not based off of who they are, and it's not based off of the fact that I think they're bad players. Obviously, they're not. At some point, these guys have qualified to be pros, and I haven't. So, I mean, I can't really talk crap about them in that regard. So just think about it that way, guys. If the fan base isn't supporting them, how can they support themselves? They need our help in terms of getting into that mentality, knowing that there are people out there rooting for them every single week. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like down below if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos kind of like this one, where I go into other teams possibly, or more about Clutch Gaming even. And if you guys really want to, you can follow my Twitch. I'm going to be streaming probably right after this video goes up, so feel free to stop by and hang out. Thank you guys so much again for watching. My name is Lord Nick, and I hope you guys have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.